Welcome to the DIY Entrepreneurs, where we are looking to develop a community for you if you are just starting your business or an aspiring business owner. Today, we have some guests that I believe is going to really give you some valuable information for starting a business. We are going to be talking about how to get started in the Airbnb business. And I know there's a lot of talk about that. And since the pandemic, there's been some changes, but I definitely wanted to highlight how to get started in Airbnb for one of the subjects for as we talk. And so today I have Helen Michelle, who's a good friend of Matt, and her son, Justeon, and they're going to talk about how to start an Airbnb business if that's something that you're interested in. Now, a little bit about this partnership here. I think one, you'll always hear me talking about generational wealth. And so generational wealth is very important, and I want to make sure that we shed some light on that. So my guests, Helen, Michelle, and Tion, go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about you and what we're going to be talking about today.
Sure. My name is Helen Michelle Clark. A lot of people call me Helen. A lot of people call me Michelle. Answer to both equally. Just depends on where you know me from. I've been in real estate for over 20 years. I actually have a bachelor's degree in finance with a concentration in real estate and investment management. So real estate is something I've always been passionate about, just because I know that's the number one investment that most people make in their life. You might not ever venture out into stocks, but everyone will eventually need somewhere to live. So it's a good, solid investment. And over time, real estate just continues to grow and grow.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Justeon Kimmons. I'm a recent college graduate, graduated from McKendree University with a math degree. I'm a business owner. My business name is Justeon Investment, LLC. I manage rental properties that I run an Airbnb out of it, and I will be getting into real estate investments.
Cool. Good. And so I wanted to really, for people, I have used Airbnb before. I knew about Airbnb before the pandemic. I used it as well, but it seems like a lot of people just kind of heard about Airbnb during the pandemic or something to that effect. Tell us a little, what is Airbnb?
Well, Airbnb is a platform that's similar to Uber. I know a lot of people will be more familiar with Uber, a ride share. So it's like a Uber for your house. If you have extra space and you just want to rent out a room in your house, or if you have a whole property that you want to rent out through an app, that's basically how Airbnb works. So you have specific days and times that you want to rent. And I guess we'll be able to look and check the availability and see if that meets up and they can rent your space. Yeah.
So it's something similar to kind of like a lower scale hotel. Like exactly. You could pick, right, you see a property and you could go on, and the whole sign up is like you're registering for a hotel stay. You pick your days, you get your amount of money, you see the amenities and things like that. And yes. Then you just book you a stay.
Right. Yeah. And through the app, you can select, if you're okay with them having pets. Do they provide towels?
Children.
If you want it to be somewhere that has children. I think you can also specify if you only want a female.
Oh.
Yeah, which is
really
interesting.
Wait, and so, and I've never, I guess, if I'm going to see an Airbnb or if I own an Airbnb, I could specify if I only want females to come. Exactly. Actually, that makes sense, because if I'm renting a room out of my house,
right,
and it's an extra room, I can only say only females.
Correct.
Okay, I can see that. I can understand that. All right, and so with Airbnb, understanding that it's home sharing or room sharing or property sharing, how can I get started? Is it easy for me to get started?
I would say it's fairly easy to get started. If you already have a place, like say you have a 2-bedroom apartment and you just want to get started in Airbnb, you can start by just simply renting that extra room in your house. maybe putting a private lock on there so they have some security with that. And once you build up your finances, then take that money and get something else, or you can move and rent your whole apartment. So it just, it's a lot of ways to do it.
Okay, so you can get started quickly if you have the space.
Correct.
And so given the example that you gave, I have an extra bedroom. My bedroom is already furnished, so it looks like a bedroom. Is there any other capital I need to do? Like, do I have to pay to be on Airbnb to be a host?
No, you do not have to pay to be a host. They charge a fee to the person renting the property. So whatever amount you decide to charge, Airbnb then puts a fee on top of that. They tag out the taxes that have to be paid to the state and the city. And they just go from there. So no, it's not really anything out of your pocket. It's really as simple as downloading an app, taking pictures of your location, just having it set up properly, and listing whatever amenities you provide.
I thought it was a cost for me to get started with the Airbnb. Now, because that brought up an idea for me. Can you do offices and homes and stuff, or is it just kind of apartments?
No, you actually can do that. It's whatever space you have available. You don't necessarily even have to have a bed. It could be a couch. I believe I've heard a story about when Airbnb first got started. They were located near like Silicon Valley or something like that, and they were having some big convention. And so they basically had like an air mattress in their living room, and they were just renting because the hotels were all booked for this convention. And
so it's kind of a
Right.
supply and demand type of thing. So
Right.
of course, if I'm trying to get to this
yeah,
convention,
I have an air mattress you can use, and you can have a bowl of cereal.
a bowl of cereal or orange or something in the morning, right?
Right.
So Justeon, tell us, how did you get started in Airbnb?
I got started shortly after my mom did. My mom, she was telling, I want to say back in like 2018, going into 2019, she had been listening to a few podcasts and reading a few books, and she had heard about this guy, and we heard his story about how he makes money off real estate without actually owning any real estate. He was doing it through Airbnb. And after listening to him talk about it, and my mom, she took a trip to DC, was it?
Yeah.
She went to DC, and she was in an Airbnb where she could just rent her one room, and it was also other people that were using the app of Airbnb to rent their separate rooms. So if it was 6 different rooms in the house, 6 different people all sharing one house, and they're all able to have their own room. And after my mom told me about her experience with it, I was still a little bit skeptical, but we had she had a home that she didn't have any tenants in at the moment. And she decided to get it prepared for Airbnb, getting furniture, getting plates, pots, pans, mattresses, and the whole thing set up. And when she did that, she listed it on Airbnb, and we were seeing that she was making money from it, good money from it. And it wasn't taking a whole lot of her time because all she had to do was check guests in and check them out and clean it up. And that's pretty much it. So after about a year, maybe a few months of doing it, she talked to me about doing it. Do I want to do it? And I was sitting there thinking about it because at school, I won't say I was stressing out, but I was having doubts and concerns about myself. I was like 20 years old at the time. And I shouldn't be stressing as much as I was because I'm so young. But I was wondering, like, do I need to get a job that's going to be a 9 to 5? Am I going to do that for 40 years and then leave and all of this and that? And that's not the lifestyle that I wanted. So I was like, I should just get started as soon as I can. Talk to her about my mom, try to find a few places. I was currently at McKendree University, that's in Southern Illinois near St. Louis. So I was looking at places in St. Louis. I was looking at places in Southern Illinois. And I saw a few that I liked, but I felt like it would be a better decision to do it back home because my mom, she has experience doing it. She could do it for me until I get back. We could partner on it. And then I want to say by the grace of God, I guess, somebody moved out in the building that she lives in currently. So I talked to the management, to the people that manage the property, and told them that I was interested in renting it. And I just didn't even tell them that I was going to be running Airbnb out of it. I just asked, is it okay for me to sublease? And they said that that was fine. We got the apartment together because it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom in Oak Park, and we got it together and put some couches in there, put some beds in there, set it up nicely, and ever since then it's been good. It's been good for me. So yeah.
Well, you said a couple of things that I like to come back to, just get your mind thinking about it. One thing I like that you said was you was just sitting and like, what am I going to do after college? What am I going to do after school? Am I going to go and get a job? What's your degree again?
Mathematics.
Mathematics. Boy, y'all some smart people. Bless y'all. I'm so glad I know y'all. But listen, mathematics. So you were thinking, am I going to go for a job and work for someone for 40 years and then quit? That was an actual thought of yours at 20 years old?
Yeah, it was a thought of mine because I'm trying to think, how do I want to say this? It was a thought of mine because I was looking at myself in college and I was just realizing that I'm no longer a kid. I'm not going to be able to just depend on my mom. And I have friends that are younger than me that are in high school. I have friends that are older than me that are starting life. I have friends that have kids. I have kids that are, friends that have newborns. I have friends that have kids that are 6 years old. I have friends that party like they're never going to have kids. So even if I were to have a kid right now, how am I going to be able to take care of a kid? And even that I don't have kids, I have 3 younger sisters right now, a 4th one on the way. Mom, I got my mom. I got my mom right here. I got a lot of different things that in my life that I want to be able to support or take care of. And I want to be able to take care of everybody that I love in my family. So it was just, how am I going to do that? And I know I'm not going to be able to do that working for whatever company that you want to say, whether it's on a small scale or whether I have a high-paying job. I still want to be able to interact with my family, be able to go to my kids' games. I'm having all these thoughts at 20 years old, and I'm really stressing about it because I want to be
available.
I want to be available, and I want to be a millionaire. I want to be able to do everything that I want.
Wait, say that up quiet. You want to be available to what?
A millionaire. I want to be able to. I want to be able to do whatever I want to do on a whim, and that's what I was stressing about. And I still stress about it sometimes, even now, because I have to. It's one thing to talk about it, and it's one thing to be about it. So I was having these conversations with my mom. She was telling me like, "Oh, why are you stressing? You're young. Just focus on school. You'll be able to figure all this out later." And I just took it upon myself to try and build my own knowledge and background and get as many different pieces of advice and different mentors that I feel like I have in my life right now, be able to ask them questions about learning about real estate, even from my mom, learning about Airbnb, how not even just from a business exit, being a good business owner or building your own people skills so you can interact with people, because through Airbnb you're gonna have to interact with guests all the time. You're gonna be able to have to put on a good face even if they're not necessarily a good guest, like they might destroy something or they have a bunch of questions and a whole bunch of different things. So I just have to learn from her. So,
listen, this is deep because I don't think I was thinking about that kind of stuff at 20. Listen, well, then again, I had 2 children. When I was 20, yes, I had my second daughter. I had my daughter. And so, yeah, I was a single mom and thinking those things. But as a young guy in college, no children, tell me what, and I know this is kind of veering off topic, but I think this is interesting and need to be said. But what are some of your friends? What was your roommates like in school? Were they the party type, or were you around people that had you thinking like this? Or why was you thinking like this at 20? Was it the people you were around?
I wouldn't say
your mom.
I mean, of course, like my friends and my roommates, we'd have this conversation every blue moon. like we wouldn't have this conversation all the time, but you know, people, you always gonna talk about like what you want to do after college and stuff. And even then, when I would talk to, 'cause I played football, so like when I would meet people and I would tell them, oh, I go to school and I play football, they'd be like, oh, that's nice. What are you studying? I tell them what I'm studying. They'd be like, oh, what do you got planned afterwards? And then for college students, it's like you either have one answer or you don't have any answer. So it's like, oh, I want to be, because when I first got to school, I wanted to be an engineer. So I just kept telling you, like, oh, I'm going to be an engineer. Oh, I'm going to be an engineer. But then once I thought about it, do I really want to be an engineer? Do I really want to work a scheduled job? Do I really want to do that? So then those different kind of things started poking in my own brain. It was more so of it was more a self-realized thing that I wanted to build this business or build this wealth for myself and my family. So it really didn't stem from my friends or anything. And I'm not trying to throw any of my friends or anybody that I went to school with under the bus, because like most people that are my age aren't really thinking about that type of stuff. So they're really focused on partying, or they're focused on school or anything like that. So I had because a lot of my friends at my college, we went to a small school, so there weren't really that many parties. So they were doing their own thing, doing different activities. And I really was just in my room all the time. So I had a lot of time to think to myself.
That's what's up, Justeon. Just to hear that you were on a football team, you know, away at college. You know, sometimes being on a football team, that takes you a whole different, you got the females, you know, you got all this life in front of you. And like you said, being able to just talk to people, associate, have people skills and stuff like that. And sometimes if you're a big guy on campus on the football team, sometimes the people that is attracted to you can sway your mind, but it's so commendable to you for just the strength of mind that you had to, like, okay, to sit and think, like, is this something I want to do? You know, I want to do a committed schedule. I like that you use that word, a committed schedule for someone else job. So very commendable.
Because because the school I went to was a small school, like I said, that was I want to say like 3,000 students. So like if I would have went to a different school, like let's say Duke or Michigan State, maybe I wouldn't be where I am right now. Maybe I would have pushed this thought process out to maybe another 2-3 years. And I would have been thinking, having these thoughts about myself and where I want to be in life, like right now as I graduated, rather than having them because I was sitting in my room not doing much other than wake up, go to football practice, go to weights, go to this, go to that, go to class, and then sit in the room for the rest of the day. So yeah, so it was probably more so about the predicament and the situation that I was in.
The things that you shared, it seems like you're a pretty disciplined person, you know.
Yeah.
I think the things that you said, even if, I mean, we know there's some things that we know we could be better at, but the things that you're saying, it sounds like you really had just a thought process. I forgot what word I used.
Like a wake up call.
Yeah, like a wake up call. Yeah, and just to be sitting and thinking, like, do I want to go to a job for 40 years for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
You know, have those thoughts. Man, that's dope. That's real dope. And so I definitely commend you on that. So getting back to the Airbnb, right? Justeon said a couple of things. He said at first when he was going to try and do it back where he was in college, he was thinking, okay, we got to furnish it. And so the one thing that popped in my mind is, okay, so there's some expenses that I'll need, you know, to do if I'm not doing just my other bedroom in my home.
Right. It just really depends on where you at and what you have available. So everyone can take like a personal inventory of what do I have, what can I get from other people. If you have things that have been donated to you that look nice, you can go ahead and use that to get started. But in my opinion, people take care of stuff when it's set up nice. So I can go get a used couch. How are people going to take care of this used couch? This is like whatever. I spill something, it's no big deal. But when I furnish my places, I try to use more upscale looking things that look nice, that look expensive, that might actually even be, easy cleanable furniture, but it might be a beige or, just because people are a little more cautious, like, oh, I don't want to waste anything on this couch. So I just like it to look really nice, look just like you would if you were in a hotel or a timeshare or something like that. I have owned a timeshare in the past. You know how you just go and everything is already set up. They have the pots, they have the pans, the mixers, the blenders. So whatever it is you want to do when you get there, everything is already provided for you. So in my personal opinion, I would rather have something like that.
I definitely want to make sure we give the people some numbers and stuff if they're really thinking about it, because it is something that I want to do, Airbnb, right? And so what is a good number if I have a one bedroom? I know location is a big thing as well. So let's say one bedroom in Oak Park, Illinois, right? So I have a one bedroom. I just rented. It was something else Justeon said. He spoke to the management company, didn't really let them know that he was going to do an Airbnb, but he made sure that he can sublease. Right. So that's something I want to come back to. But in my mind, I just rented a one bedroom apartment somewhere. What are the top 3 things that I need to be thinking about putting in that apartment?
Well, you really just want to have your basics, and I don't over furnish my units. Typically there's just a bed, a nightstand, a lamp, and a desk, and a TV stand. That's pretty much as basic as you can get. A hamper, a rug on the floor. So yeah, just really basic, really simple, something easy to clean, something where you don't have a lot of cleaning to do. You don't have to move a lot of stuff around. Just keep it real basic and simple, just like a hotel. So when you think about when you go to a hotel, when you walk in, what do they have? A desk, an ironing board, just the basics. So I pretty much try to do the same thing.
And what number would that be? What can I start off with if I wanted to rent? Not thinking about the leasing in the first month security, not thinking about that, but just the capital needed to furnish. What's a good number to kind of a high and low? And now, because I know you said you like high end looking stuff. So you have to give
just because it's high end doesn't mean it costs a lot. So, it just depends on where you want to shop, but just making it look very presentable. I like everything to be picture perfect. So exactly how it is on my listings, that's how I want it to look when you come.
So like how much do I need?
I would say just to set up like a bedroom, maybe $1,000. You can do it with $1,000, $1,500. You're gonna have to, of course, buy some comfortable mattresses, linens for the bed.
Comfortable mattress that cost $1,500.
It could cost that.
But not for a hotel, not the beds. I don't even know how much they cost. Do hotels spend that much money on beds?
They probably spend a lot.
Hotel, but for Airbnb, a decent mattress, something I can get
that's
off of Madison and Pulaski.
You could.
Okay. Do I need to go to Ashley Furniture?
You can go anywhere you want, but it's really, people will complain. Oh, this bed was too hard, or
let's go knock points
whatever.
off.
But yeah, I haven't had any complaints about the furniture that I bought.
Okay, and so the front you gave me $1,500 for a one bedroom. That's the entire apartment, or just the stuff that's in the bedroom?
I was just thinking of the stuff in the bedroom.
Okay, so
I would say with everything that you're gonna do in the kitchen, I would say probably like 300 to 500.
And it really depends on what's provided, because if they already have a stove and refrigerator, microwave, is that you just really got to know what's included.
So you just, because you don't need to put groceries in there. People will come get groceries, so you'll just need to get a microwave, pots, silverware, and bowls and plates. And then once you get to the living room, you just have whatever is within, I would say, try to stay within your budget that's practical, because at the end of the day, you want to make money. And if you spend too much money on furniture, then that's cutting into your profit. But if you buy cheap stuff, then that stuff is going to break easier, and you're gonna have to keep buying more and more of that furniture. So I would say keep those two things in mind, because I'm not sure where your listeners are, but things might be more expensive in Chicago. And if someone is in, let's say Champaign, or even if they're on the other side of the world, things might be more expensive where they are, or it might be less expensive. So I would say just stay within a practical range of where you want to be at. So I would
And
say,
you can always check the app and see what people are making or what people are charging for listings. You got to get an idea of what places are renting for.
yeah, what's
Kind of compare yourself to that.
what's comfortable in the area. So you can just go on Airbnb and type in 1-bedroom apartment that's has these amenities, and just look. I would probably go way into the future, so probably like a year from when whatever date you're looking, so you can see all of the places that are really being listed. So if you see 3 blocks away from you, there's a place that's charging $150 a night, but then there could be another place that's 3 blocks the other way that's charging $350 a night. So you just really have to find a nice medium for yourself.
The area.
Yeah.
And I think you said 2 good key points is when you're furnishing, everybody's budget may be different depending on location. So I got that. But you wanted some guidelines is maybe don't go too high end because you want to make a profit. The whole thought of this is a business that's going to generate income. And so you don't want to go too high end or too costly. Don't want to associate high end with cost, right? So you don't want to go too much over your budget. But then again, I think something that you said was important is you don't want cheap stuff, because that's going to break and you go continually have to replace those things every time somebody come in.
Yeah. Because example is like, if you look at it for like if you own the house or anything like that, and you want to get like your roof fixed or something like that, you're not going to do something that's cheap for your roof, because if it breaks, now you got other things that's going to break because of that. So you want to get it done the right way the first time, so you only have to come back to this problem if it's urgent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So now I have my idea. I got me a good $3 grand. I had $3 grand. I got me a nice apartment, 1-bedroom apartment to rent out. Now I need to get this done before I even sign up for Airbnb, right? Or what's that whole process?
Say go ahead and get it set up first, because you got to have pictures. People want to see what they're coming into. So yeah, you set everything up and you take your pictures, place them on the app, describe your amenities and things like that, and go from there.
I don't know if I should say this is a feature on Airbnb, but another way you can do it is you can see how much you could potentially make without having to put the pictures up there. So you could type in like, I have this place, it's located here. I'm gonna have 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. I'm gonna have all of these amenities, and you can type it in, and the app will ask you, do you have pictures? And you can say no, and it'll take you to the end screen of how much you would potentially make. So it's like you're listing it, but you're not listing it.
Yeah, it'll give you an estimate.
Yeah. So you can find all of this out beforehand.
Oh, okay. And okay, so I don't, but it's best to have pictures. I know when I've used Airbnb, I'm going to the pictures first. I go to the pictures first, and then I go to the reviews, you know. And so it may not be a good idea if you want to kind of start off being successful. You probably want to get your pictures done, right? Because that's an important part to it.
It is. And Airbnb will, once you become a superhost, I think that was like one of the benefits of being a superhost. They send someone out to do your pictures for you.
Oh,
that was like a perk when I first started.
Okay, wait. So
you can take pictures off of your own cell phone camera and upload it. But if you want the lighting to be right, they'll send someone out to take your pictures for you. And there's a charge for it. But once you become a superhost, it's kind of like the perk. We'll give you free professional pictures or for a discount.
Gotcha.
But with that being said, yeah, I would recommend always having good pictures, because the good pictures could make a difference. Because you could have a you have an apartment that looks really, really, really nice, but the pictures don't show that it looks nice. So now other places that's not as good as your listing are getting the bookings that you could potentially be getting because you don't have good pictures. Because a podcast or somebody that I was listening to, they had a listing on some beach somewhere. I want to say like in California or something like that. They had a bunch of different properties, and they didn't have the correct, they didn't have good pictures of, and that was a reason why they didn't make a lot of money. But they didn't know that that was the reasoning why. So they like hired this guy out to come help them figure out why they're not getting as many listings as they should, because they're right on the beach. And after having somebody come through to take good pictures of their place, like literally a month later, they like raised their profit by like 50%. So like they made like way more money than they were just by taking better pictures, like putting some newspapers and a hot coffee and a donut on the table and then taking a picture. It makes it seem more of a place that you would want to stay rather than like a stagnant picture.
And that makes sense when you said that that's a
Staging.
perk. Yeah, yeah. And when you said it's a perk of being a super host, I would think that's where the money at then. If I had to be a super host and I get this point where you bring professional people out, the photos is where the money at then, you know. And so I would think that when I'm getting on, just starting, my photos need to be professional, you know. So so that's some good points to make sure we have. Okay, so we talked about getting started. This whole thing about host, what you know, what's the pros and cons to host? You said you get to a certain point, you become super host. So tell us a little bit more about hosting.
Well, basically, when you sign up, you are a host. To become a super host, you have to have, I believe, 10 listings within a year.
10 listings or bookings?
10 bookings.
Okay.
Within a year.
Okay. Well, that ain't that bad to do. 10 to get some, you have to have 10 people to be a super host. You would have to have 10 people rent out your spot within a year. Correct. And then I could get to super host.
Right. And then it also goes off the rating they give you. So they want to know, was it clean? Was it ready when they got there? How easy it
So
was
it's some
to
type
get
of
in.
algorithm.
Communication. What's the other thing?
It's
they look at?
it's on your screen. It's I know one of them is you have a 90% or higher communication rating, meaning that you get back to all messages within a certain time period, or
Right, your
response
response rate, they give you 24 hours. So say you request a room, you see my listing, you say, oh, I would like to book for these days. I have 24 hours to respond to you. If I don't respond in 24 hours, then that will lower my response rate.
but the faster you respond, the better.
Right.
So don't
Because
take
most-
up between, just
right.
go ahead and.
Because most of the time people want an answer
Yeah.
immediately, or I'm looking somewhere else, whoever,
Exactly.
answers.
Yeah, I
quicker.
put myself in that situation right then. You asked a quick question, somebody got back to me. Okay, I'm still on, you know, so that
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
And so that's part of what I do with managing Airbnbs for others. Those questions will come right to me. And you see my iPad is dinging. I have it set up where if it's Airbnb, I know it. So just like, you go through your day and you answer it. Messages. I do this all the time. So.
Gotcha. Okay. And so and then we'll get to you managing and helping people get started. And so with the host, so you said there's a certain amount of bookings you have to get in a year, and then it's your response rate, how quick you get back to them. What other stuff that gets you?
Well, after your
communication?
visit, you get to rate the guest, and the guest also gets to rate you. As far as if they're communicating, if they were clean, was the place clean when they got there? If they had an issue, say the water's not hot, or how easy was it to get in? Were the locks working? Did I have to wait 30 minutes for you to show up to give me some keys? Or was it a self-check-in? So they rate you on different things. How fast you communicate, how fast you respond, what's your Wi-Fi code, all of this stuff. They're looking to see, you know, just what type of host you are. Just like if you were going anywhere, a restaurant or whatever, what kind of service are you getting?
That's for your overall rating. To be a super host, you have to have completed 10 trips or completed 3 reservations that total 100 nights. And then you have to have a 90% response rating, like I said. And then another thing is cancellation rate. You can have to have a 1% cancellation rate. A cancellation rate is if someone booked your space and then you, for whatever reason, you can't have them stay anymore, you have to cancel on them, which doesn't look good on the Airbnb, for Airbnb. So now you get penalized for having a cancellation for now like that.
Right, and if you have the cancellation, they'll block those days on your calendar. So you, like say, you can have family coming into town. You're like, oh, I'll just let my family stay here as opposed to this guest who's already booked.
Okay. All right. And then you just kick the people person out.
Like, sorry, I'm not gonna be able to do it. You know,
that's the cancel. So it's not a cancellation. If I am the guest canceling on you, you don't get the name. But if you cancel on me and I have already,
whoever responsibility it is for the cancellation. And it depends on how you have your profile set up, because you can be strict, very strict, flexible. People have 14 days before to cancel, stuff like that, or 24 hours before to cancel. It just really depends on how you set it up and how comfortable you are with it.
Okay, and it sounds like everything is some type of algorithm. You don't really know exactly what it is, but all of those things play a part, and it helps you to get to the status of superhost.
Yes.
And it helps you keep your status, because you can you be demoted?
Yes, every 3 months. They basically do a review every 3 to 4 months. So you have to keep it up. And your overall rating for the year has to be maintained.
All right. And so now I become a superhost. Does that mean I get me being a superhost, does that mean I get to charge more money? Do that mean I get to, what does that mean?
You can potentially charge more money for being a super host. You have experience under your belt. People will be more comfortable with coming to you as opposed to someone who's just getting started. And that person who's just getting started might be a little more thorough than you. But because you have this status and you have this badge, when they look on the app, you're higher in the rankings. You see my listing first.
Okay.
And if I can catch your attention and get you to book with me, you might not get to someone who is just starting out.
Okay, so if I'm a super host, I don't have to pay for ads. I don't have to pay.
No, you're just higher in the ranking. It's almost like
so that's say okay, because I'm thinking, you know, Google, to get higher in the rankings, you need to be paying, or your traffic need to be real good. But with Airbnb, I thought that the superhost was paying an advertisement fee to be listed higher.
No, it's based off your service.
Everybody can be a superhost. It's just that based off of when they calculate all the things that we already said, they do that themselves. It's not like you put in like, oh, can my listing do I qualify to be a superhost? They'll let you know that you're a superhost.
Let you know.
So just by you being a host and you doing the things that you personally do, then you'll be qualified as a host. So just being a good host makes you a super host. It's not like trying to fill out an application to be get promoted. That's not what it is. It's just you just being you. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I know when I use Airbnb, I would use, my thought process is a super host, they done paid some money to get some ads to get higher in the listings. So, you know, they spot maybe a little bit better. I didn't know that those weren't ads. Okay, so I've done everything I need to do as a host. and now I'm a super host,
Mhm.
and I'm continuing to work to maintain my super host status.
Right, because you
All
can
right.
fall off, you can stop cleaning up, you can, you know,
Mhm.
the picture's there, and I'm not washing the sheets. I just throw it back on the bed.
Lord
and-
have mercy.
You could, but most people not gonna do that.
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah, that's why they have them rate you after they leave.
Okay.
And you don't get to see what a person they're rating for you. They have to fill it out. You know it's them who filled it out, but you don't get to see it. And you don't get to base your rating off of what they said about you. So until both of you complete your review, it's not disclosed.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah. So being a host, you just gotta decide what it is that you want to do. Because one thing that I didn't say, as far as being a host, let's look at it from aspect of you. Let's say because some of your listeners might be into real estate, so they have a property that they don't have any tenants in right now, and they're deciding to use it as an Airbnb place. I would say, because like I said before, like the different rooms, you could list it out by rooms, and you could just have your own personal room, but you could also list the whole home on Airbnb, and it could be listed as a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and that would be perfect for a group of friends coming to vacation in Chicago or something like that. So you could just play around with the numbers, do the fake listings, like I said earlier, to see which one you would make more money off of, rather listing it as a whole apartment or listing it by individual rooms. I would say the more rooms you have, the more money you would probably make per room. But
Yeah, and people tend to like you to have a personal bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll bet that is true. Yeah.
Because, Because what was I about to say? If you list it per room, you might have longer stays, and because you might attract it, you're attracting different what's probably the best word, markets. Probably you're attracting different needs from different people. So if you have a whole house listed, you might want to list it as it might only get booked like every 7 days, like for a 7-day period or something like that, because most of the people that's coming are coming for a family,
short-term
for
stays.
short-term stays, for family and for vacations and stuff like that. But if you have one room up there, you might attract more college students, people coming for work, and they need a place to stay for a long time, because most people might not know this on Airbnb, but you can book for like a whole year if you wanted to. So like people coming from overseas, they might need a place for work because they work at a hospital that's nearby. So now they can book your whole room for a whole year, and now you have one of those rooms going for the year.
You know, that was the interesting part when you first told me you did the Airbnb. I know you said you do long-term stays, right?
Right.
And to my experience, I've only stayed in Airbnbs, but I've only did it like when I'm going on vacation.
Mhm.
And so it's like a weekend or, during the week or whatever, but I've never thought anybody would do a long-term stay in an Airbnb. And so that's a whole nother way to do it. What made you want to, I can probably imagine what made you want to do the longer terms, but in the market that you're in,
Well,
is that a good?
When I was first introduced to Airbnb, like my son said, I was on my daughter's 8th grade trip to DC. So we stayed in a hotel. I stayed with her for a week, and then I stayed an additional week at an Airbnb because I was going to a conference in DC, a church conference. So I said, I'm gonna stay and, get a feel for the area. I didn't want to be in a hotel. I wanted to be in a neighborhood and, just kind of get a feel for how it would be if I lived in the DC, Baltimore, Maryland area. So that's what I did. And the lady I stayed with, she was a super host, and she was renting rooms out, and she was just very nice, very open-minded. She was a Christian, a believer, and she was just really telling me about the business. I was like, this is my first time, kind of nervous, who all in this house,
Right.
But she actually lived in the house as well. She was a retired police officer. Her husband was currently working in DC as a police. And she said that the first time that they rented their house out, some rapper rented the house and had a big party. It was like 200 plus people in the house. They made the sprinklers go off, all this type of stuff. And she was just, like,
that's a
whoa.
short-term stay.
She's like, oh, this, it was a short-term stay. And so I was like, I'm surprised you're still doing this. What would make you continue? And she was just like, she felt like God had showed her the worst in the beginning. So she knew what not to do. So she put up cameras and, she's checking in on the guests. She didn't leave people in her house anymore. And so she had advised me not to do like, allow bookings for like 1 or 2 days, because more than likely they're having a party or something like that. So when I started out, that was like a requirement. You had to stay for at least a week. So I knew I wasn't getting someone who was just booking for a party. So she gave me a lot of great tips about what to do, how to set it up. And it was just pretty much, just getting a feel for being in a good spot. And so I just went with that.
Cool. Okay, so you kind of had, and I would imagine having a rapper or a party. I'd be like, nah, I ain't doing this no more. This ain't for me. This is not for me. So.
Another good thing about Airbnb is when someone comes and they mess up your property, you can file a claim and they will cover it up to, I think, like $1 million or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if they mess up your property, you can recoup. But that's another thing about because we did have a guest.
That take you time. That takes you out because you repairing stuff. So now you ain't really making money. It kind of slows you down on some, depending on what the damage is. But
but they will
give you some type of
right.
Oh, okay.
And that's another part with just even when you get it set up, making sure you keep your receipts for like the things you bought. Because I did have to do a claim at one point in time, and they wanted receipts, and I'm like, you want receipts for all this stuff. So you got to go dig and just having all your paperwork in order, the things that you bought, how much it costs, how long you've been using it, just keeping a log of the things you have in use and how old they are. Because if it's you've been doing it for 2 years, they're like, well, it was probably about time to replace that anyway.
Right.
So they don't want to pay the full price. So just good record keeping as well.
That's important in everything, right? Well, okay, so now I know how to get started in Airbnb. Justeon, I would love to hear, again, I'm fascinated because you're young, you're doing this partnership with your mom, and I think I got a little bit about your personality, even knowing that you're 20 years old, sitting at college on the football team, thinking about what I want to do with my life, so even in that, it tells me a little bit something about you. But what are some of the things that a normal young person, I wouldn't say normal, I think you're extraordinary, but a normal person would have to do or have some of the personality traits, some of the strengths? What are some weaknesses that you have that this ain't the job for you, or this ain't the business for you? Talk to me a little bit about, how do I know if Airbnb is for me?
Okay. You can just jump in anytime if you got something to say. I'm probably going to talk for a minute. First thing I want to say, even with just people that you're going to interact with on a general basis, to everybody that I'm talking to, I'm a normal person too, so so like I'm childish at times, I'm irresponsible at times. Anybody that you're going to get advice from, or people that you're going to listen to, you just gotta look at them as like normal people too. They're going to be in the same situations as you've been in at some point in your life, because I could be whoever I'm talking to right now, you could be 16 and you might be 40 years old. So you can really learn something from anybody, because I could go outside right now and see a 12-year-old that makes $1 million, and I can learn something from them. So I would say anybody can do it. Anybody can. You could be an introvert. You could be an extrovert. You could be red. You could be blue. It really doesn't matter. It's really about all. If you really want to do it, and even outside of Airbnb, you can make a business out of anything. It's so much money in the world. You could, like, if you have a passion for anything, you can always get started in doing it. I would just say that some personality traits that I would say you need You have to, if you're gonna be working with people, or you're gonna have people working under you, you need to be a leader. I would say, you need to be committed. You need to have some perseverance to you. You need to be able to not give up. Um, you have to be focused. Don't let other things outside of your business distract you. You need to treat your business like a business. So even with like our business right now with Airbnb, like how me and my mom treat it, we treat it like an actual business. We don't treat it like it is a side hustle. It is a hobby, not a hobby. It is a side hustle, but we treat it like a business. We don't treat it like a side business. Because if you have a like I work right now for Amazon doing deliveries. If I were to treat it like a side business, I'm like, oh, I'm too tired. I don't feel like cleaning that up today. I'm gonna go try to clean it up tomorrow. So now I don't end up being able to clean it up, and now I get a bad review. So now that's gonna make me not a super host, and that's gonna not make me bring as much money in as I could have. So you just got to be really focused and like on top of it. You need to really be like, oh, I gotta get over here to do this. I need to figure out different ways to make my guests feel more comfortable and more appreciative of what I'm doing, so that way I can bring in more money. And that goes for any business that you have, even if you do real estate, if you have a bakery, anything that you do, just always keep it in mind that you're treating this as a business and not as a hobby. Like, oh, I enjoy people and I enjoy cleaning, so I'm just going to do Airbnb. It's not that simple. Like, you have to really be invested into it, if that makes sense.
I like what you said as far as treating it like a business. Sometimes, because I do a lot of stuff, right? But I'm clear on the things that I'm doing to make me money, a business, and the things that I'm doing as a hobby and to keep my mind as kind of a coping mechanism for my anxiety or something like that, right? And so, and when I think side hustle and when I think business, I think side hustle is money that I'm getting that maybe I could go get my nails done, I could go get, you know, my hair done or something like that. It's side hustle money, right? It ain't really nothing that I'm dependent on. It ain't money that I'm dependent on to pay my rent, because that's got to be done every month. So I can't do a side hustle in the mentality of a side hustle. It's just extra money. Not thinking like that, but an actual business. And it's like, no, this is some income that I could pay a bill with. I could pay my mobile phone bill with it or something. Or if grooming is that thing that you have to make sure you have done, this is what I'm using for that. And it's not just side money, so I think that's a good.
Yeah, just piggybacking off what you said, like you might think of it like, oh, this is a side hustle and this is what I'm gonna pay my rent with. But I feel like anything that you're gonna do to make money, you should always treat it with some heart. You should, anything that you do. My mom, she always told me this, like, since I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I didn't listen. I still did things halfway. And sometimes I still do.
That spirit of excellence.
It's just anything that you do, try to be the best at it. Because even with my job right now, until I get another one that's more suited towards my degree, I try to deliver as fast as I can. I try to do things the way they ask me to do it, so that way, anywhere that I'm at, I want to be the best that I am. So like, I know a lot of young women nowadays, they do nails, they do hair, and then I see them cancel on people that's spending their hard money from a job to come get their hair done and do their nails. And they're, oh, come with your hair already wet, come with it already conditioned, come with a brush. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you're not treating your business like an actual business. You're not. So now those people that you had, they no longer ever want to come get their hair done by you. So I feel like even if you think of it as a side hustle and like, oh, I just do this just so I can go on vacation sometimes. I just do this so I can buy the newest pair of shoes. Like, even though that's your intent, you should still treat it like a business. That's how I personally feel. Because like your main job, you might use that money to pay for your rent and like like I said, like go on vacation and stuff. But like that's still business that still people take their hard-earned money and their time out of their day to interact with your business and potentially grow it to something that you might not ever imagine it growing to. So I just say always treat things with respect. Like treat your business like how you would want it to be treated. You know what I'm saying?
And that makes me think about what you're valuing. You know, you're valuing your time, you're valuing your money, you're valuing the things that you're learning, the people skills, whatever it is. Because like you said, with your job now, you want to be the fastest deliverer, you know, and that's going to transfer over into something, you know, and so valuing the skills that you're learning at whatever level you're at, valuing the time, because even though it's a side hustle, you know, I'm putting in time for this. And so if I value the time that I'm putting in, I should be able to value the, you know, the reward that I get from that, and that is the profit. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Anything.
Because if you put all that time and that money into it, like imagine, I'm gonna just use big numbers. Let's just say you have a house. You went and found a house. Now you paid the rent, you paid the security, you're paying water bills, you're paying all these different bills for the place. You pay a bunch of money to get beds, couches, plates, and all of this or that. You spent a bunch of time listening on Airbnb, and now you're not making as much money as you could have because you're not motivated. You're lazy. You're not taking care of your own stuff. You're not accommodating guests. You're not being a good host. So now you just did all of that to waste your time and either lose money or just break even. And now, like, it's like, what did you spend all that money and put all that time in it for if you were just gonna not treat it like a business? You know, that's how I feel. And even when you get started out, I would say, I didn't say this earlier, but when you get started out, I would say your goal, you always want to make money, but I would say if you only broke even that first month, don't panic, because there's always room for improvement. You could be better with your guests. You could go get better pictures. You can go get, you can list it differently, and that'll make you make more money. So I would say when you're starting out, if you break even the first month or two, then you could skyrocket the third month, because now people know about your listing, because like your first 3 listings, they give them like a discount because they're the first people to go to your place.
Okay.
So I forgot to say that earlier. I was just thinking about that.
Oh, that's cool. And you made me think about something else in that stat. I'll probably come back to it. But you also said people skills. What are some of those traits? And probably give me an example of when your people skills was tested with a guest, probably. You know, maybe you had a difficult situation, and I would like to hear from both of you guys if you have an example, but some guest that was kind of difficult, and you could have, you know, just cussed them out, but because this is a business and you want a good review, maybe, what were some of those things that you had to kind of relax and calm down, not to cuss them out? What are some of those people skills you need? What are some experiences you had?
I don't think.
Either one of you guys.
I'll go first. I haven't, for the most part, most of the guests are respectful and respect the listing and respect my time. I would just say some people are what's the right word I want to say, needy or something like that. They want to
Okay.
ask me 100 million questions about nothing. In my opinion, about nothing, and I could very easily just not respond or ignore a question that
They should know the answer
me,
to.
that you could find the answer for if you look yourself. But I feel like my mom does a good job of, even if they're doing that, because she handles most of the day-to-day responding to people. I still see the messages and sometimes I respond, but just responding and making them feel like their host cares about them or cares about what they have to say. So that's one thing. A time that a guest tested my people skills. I don't think I've had anybody test my skills face to face. I would say the aftermath of like going to clean up was like one of the 2 times I got tested. Like I went to leave them a message or something like that.
You wanted to leave a message like, why the hell y'all leave this like this?
Yeah, someone treated one of my listings. I guess I don't know, maybe they had a honeymoon or something. I don't know, but you can infer what I'm saying. It wasn't,
But you had to do a lot more cleaning.
I had to do, it was a lot of cleaning that I feel like I shouldn't have had to clean up.
And did you share with them, or did you just wait on their review?
I told my mom what happened, and I let her handle it. Because if I would have said something, it probably wouldn't have came out the way it should have.
Well, that's good to know. That's the good thing in partnerships, right? Like, I need you to handle this because I ain't gonna say it right. Tell us about something else.
I don't know. I kind of think, like he said, you do have to have a good set of people skills. You just gotta always communicate with people respectfully. You gotta understand that people come from different cultures, different backgrounds. Clean to one person does not mean clean to someone else. Like me growing up, if my mother said clean the kitchen or wash the dishes, it's like the dishes, the stove, the microwave, the floor, the refrigerator, all of that goes with washing the dishes.
Right.
But somebody else might say, oh, I washed my plate, but the pot's still there. And so, you know, you have to have rules in place for how you want people to treat your space, how you want them to treat your space, and just rules so everyone is comfortable and on the same page. So just being thorough and explaining, hey, if you cook, you have to clean up immediately. It's not
as
like
if you had to say that though, but you have to.
Yeah, but you do. You have to say it because people, if they're staying there on a longer term stay, they're going to treat it more like this is my house.
Right. Yeah.
So if I go downstairs and I make me something to eat, maybe I don't want to clean up until the morning.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna leave the dishes in the sink. Gotcha. But there's other guests in the house who might want to cook something, and now they don't want to cook because your dishes in the sink. So you have to put some rules in place and just make sure everybody's on one accord and being upfront with those type of things.
And that comes with having I feel like I should come up with a word for it, but having multiple people in the same place in the same listing. If you had like just one person renting the whole house, then I guess let them do it whenever they want to do it. Not be as strict with rules, but since there's other people there,
right. Just having common courtesy.
Yeah. And some people forget about that, not because they're bad people or anything, but because that's just the way they are. They're not trying to be disrespectful. Because even like one time we had a guest that we had 2 guests. They were a married couple or something like that, and they were listening to TV at night. And they said that they had the TV pretty low, but then there's other people in the house that are like sleepers, and they're like, oh, they're blasting the TV all night, and they might not even be listening to the TV that loud. They might be listening at a volume that I could easily, cause I'm a heavy sleeper, so I could easily fall asleep without anything bothering me. But other people aren't that way, so you know, just having the people skills to let the couple know that their TV is too loud, and then also letting the person know that's complaining that they paid to be here too, and there is a TV there, so they should be allowed to watch the TV and listen to it whenever they want to. So helping those 2 people come to a conclusion when easily the guy who feels like, oh, the TV's too loud, he could just pop his head out and say, hey, can you guys turn it down a little bit? That would be the reasonable thing to me, but some people may not have those confrontation skills to go and say what they have to say. So just being there to help people.
Yeah, being a mediator between the guests if something is bothering them. So, you know.
That sounds like a lot of work.
So it is a lot of work. So pay you a lot of money.
Listen, it does. It just sounds like, because I never even really thought about that. And you would think about that if you're renting rooms to different people. If you're renting a house to someone, you may not, your communication may be when they leave and when they arrive, maybe, because whether they had a TV up loud, it don't really matter, right? But rooming, when it's kind of, when you're doing separate rooms, having the people skills to be the mediator and make sure both parties are heard, right? And both parties understand that you care. you know, because on one end with that example you just gave me, I'd be like, dude, just like you said, he right next door. Like you gonna let him know that that's a little bit too loud for you know, your comfort or whatever. But just as you said, everybody don't have those type of,
Everybody's different.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
some people, and then even for the guy they did complain, the other guy or the other couple, they might be blasting the TV. They might not understand like, oh, this is too loud. They might be, you know.
And then you got to think about cultural differences, because you do get a lot of guests who are from
rural places.
overseas
Yeah.
and things like that. And
Yeah.
Europe is typically a quieter bunch of people. Because when I did my study abroad, and we were all just sitting at dinner, a group of friends, there's 8 of us at a table, and someone come over to the table and like, you guys are too loud. You're not the only one in the restaurant. Looking like, we're not even that loud. This is not even loud. So it's you know, it depends on what part of the world they're from and what they expect.
Yeah.
So you just got to kind of think about those things.
Yeah, and if you can really have those people skills to interact and be able to be that mediator, if you have those situations. You have any crazy experiences you've had to kind of mediate or?
I have.
Oh, sure.
I'm trying to think. Nothing has been like horrible. Everyone, like I said, I'm pretty calm, and
You are.
all of my guests say that. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're so gentle.
Yes.
You're a gentle leader." So
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
You just have your way depending on how it is.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm direct, but I'm very soft spoken when it comes
Mhm.
to my guests. So just letting them know that I care. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but can you see this way as well? You know, and being able to explain those cultural differences sometimes helps.
okay. All right. You was gonna say something?
I was just gonna talk about the partnership that me and my mother have. I feel like it works for us because my mom is really good at speaking to people. Like I could do what she does, but she handles that side more than me because I don't necessarily feel like talking to a million different guests at the same time. And she doesn't feel like going to clean every spot every time. So like if you do a partnership, like let's say there's 2 sisters listening or 2 brothers or 2 friends that's listening, they want to do it together. Just when you get a partner, don't get a partner just because oh, this is my best friend, it's gonna work. Get someone that does the things that you don't do as well, that does things better than you. So you have your strong suits, they have their strong suits, and now y'all bring it to the table together, rather than both of you being really good cleaners, but you guys aren't good communicators. So you know, kind of somebody that's a good communicator, somebody that's a good
Very
worker.
good point.
Yeah.
Very good point. When you think about partnerships, yeah, partnering with someone that could complement your skills or make up for your weakness. Very important.
Yeah, it goes for everything, not just Airbnb, any business, any I want to say business, any activity that you decide to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, and so now if I'm in this situation where I want to get started, I need to come to you, I got to go to Airbnb. How can you help me get started with Airbnb?
Well, I do consulting services. So I do project management. I also do real estate. So if you're looking for a place to buy, a place to rent, I can help you find either. I can also help you set up your listing within Airbnb, within the app, helping you to do like your handbook.
I have to do a handbook?
You don't have to, but it's a good suggestion to have just a little list of rules. You can list all of the stuff in the app, but I'd also have paper copies of my expectations.
Oh, you're talking about with the
for
welcome
the
book
listen.
when
Yes.
they come in. Okay. So making that, I wouldn't even thought about that.
Yeah. So just like the expectations, you know. no washing after 10 p.m. Just things like that, because most people sleep at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just a handbook of rules to make everyone feel more comfortable in the house.
Okay, so you can help me. You real estate. You're a real estate investor and broker, right? And so if I ain't ready to purchase right now, I want to find a rental that will allow me to Airbnb, right? And you can help me find that rental?
I can.
Okay, all right, noted. And then after we find a rental, you can help put me on the platform and help me get the stuff that I need for the Airbnb.
Yes, you have two options. You can do it yourself. That was one thing that we talked about before the podcast. The regulations have changed in the city of Chicago.
Right.
So as of June 1st of 2021, you have to have a what's it called? A shared housing operator license. If you have more than one Airbnb. So if you're just getting started and you only have one, you can sign up under yourself, and that's fine. But if you have more than one listing, you would need to be licensed for that. So they're charging $250 for the license. The license lasts for 2 years. It is not as easy as it was previously, where you would just sign up through the app. So like I was saying, you download the app, put all your stuff in, they suggest the price. You can go higher or lower, depending on your preference, what you're trying to make and who you're trying to attract to your listing. Now you can't just do it through the app. As of the 1st of June, you have to have a registration with the city, which is $175. If you have more than one listing, you have to pay $175 for each listing address. And then you have to get the shared housing operators license, which is $250. So
Okay, all right.
So you're gonna need a little bit more money.
Yeah, a little bit more money. But and then even okay, so with this shared license, this shared operator license, that's what it is. Is that only for Chicago?
That's only for the city of Chicago that I know of right now. And I do have, like we said, we have
Chicago be on it, baby.
They want their money, and everybody gonna be right behind them. So
yes, exactly. I already know it's coming.
I feel like the reason why they are making people get the license or even all of these rules is because there's a lot of people that come into the Airbnb market and make it a bad, well, I won't say a bad market, but bring the standard down. Because if you have a lot of people that come in there and they're having bad stays, people getting kicked out of the place, or even people just arguing and fighting, then the city has to step in and try to come up with some type of solution. So I think that might be the reason why.
Yeah, and then with the pandemic, people still hosting parties and things like that, because at one point in time, there was like a ordinance or something stating that you couldn't even rent for like a 1 day or 2 day stay. It had to be multiple days because they didn't want people doing the parties, which was something which I already had in place, but you could be fined for throwing parties in Airbnbs when we're supposed to be social distancing.
Right.
Yeah.
COVID. Right. Okay.
So a lot of regulation started with that. And then just other neighbors complaining because, hey, it's not really my house. It's just a place for me to have a party. And now you're disturbing regular residents.
You got to put
of the
some type of
neighborhood.
interest or some type of something.
Right. And they
into
got to
it.
have a way to know who's doing what. So you got to register. You got to be responsible. If stuff happens, you can get fined. So you got to think about all of that.
Make sure your ducks are in a row. With this license, is there an exam? Like, what is the license?
No.
Is it just a payment? Or
It really
a
is
test?
just a payment.
Gotcha.
They do check the zoning to make sure that it's okay. I know in the city of Chicago, they have it in the lease now, the updated lease for the city of Chicago, where you can actually put it in your lease if you allow Airbnb or not. And with this licensing, say I'm a property owner, I don't want you to do Airbnb. I can list my property with the city and say, at this address, there cannot be any Airbnbs allowed. So when they go and check, they can say, oh, well, you're not allowed. So I don't have to worry about somebody just doing whatever they want. It'll be impossible at that point.
Gotcha.
So you have to be upfront,
Mhm.
you know, when you're renting, if you decide to do Airbnb, they're starting to add that verbiage within the contracts at least.
I mean, when you sign the lease, you can read over it yourself and see what they say as well. Because it has to be in the lease.
No, not technically. It should be in the lease
A new lease and all the standard Chicago
know.
leases.
with the city of Chicago. It should be in the lease now. I know that it's there, but like with Oak Park, they didn't say specifically that we couldn't do Airbnb. They didn't say you couldn't sublease. And then say, for instance, it's not really a sublease if I let somebody come stay with me. Can you really tell me I can't have my friends spend the night? You get what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
it's kind of, you know, ways around that. But landlords are,
Because they don't want their stuff getting messed up. Like,
Their
you have
property.
people coming in throwing parties, or even not even throwing parties, but someone comes in and put a hole in the wall. Now the person that actually owns the place needs to fix that. So that's mostly the reason why they don't want you to Airbnb or, you know, all of that. Or they might think of it as, oh, you're using my spot to Airbnb and you're making more money than I am.
That's what I was-
So now I don't want you to do it. You know, just kind of like an envious type of thing.
That's what I was thinking when
Right.
I remember, I know you said this licensure is new.
Yeah.
But when you first started, when you got your first listing, you said all you did was look at your lease and they didn't say nothing about it. You didn't tell nobody.
I
And
just
you,
asked, I literally just asked them, can I sublease? And they say yes, and I
Sublease.
just did, and that was that. And then if they find out that I do Airbnb, like in my head, I think of it as, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna kick me out? No, I pay my rent on time. I take care of the property, so I'm not doing anything that's hurting you. Other than, like, I have people that constantly come through because I have guests checking in and out, but they're not doing anything to your property. That's how I think of it. But other people might have different thought processes than me, saying, "Oh, I don't want that many people coming through my house." But like, it doesn't really matter, you know. So I look at things differently than how most people might look at it.
yeah, and it makes sense. I guess the important point is one, make sure you if this is something you want to do, I will reach out to somebody that's already doing it and kind of really understand the legalism that's around it, the profitability
right,
of
and
it,
then
all
you
of
have to
that.
think about, say for instance, you are in a lease for a year. And your whole point was, I'm gonna rent this place out so I can make money doing Airbnb. And now they decide to put themselves on the list where it can't be done. And it's not allowed at their address. So now you've invested all of this money.
And you got a year lease.
Right, you still have to make those monthly rent payments, and you can't, because you can't get guests, because they're not gonna give you a license, because they're on the list stating that they don't allow Airbnb in their listing. So it's just best to always be honest and upfront about what you're doing. Get the proper permission that you
Yep.
need. Make sure it's in writing. You're ultimately responsible for the listing for your rental. So like he was saying, if someone puts a hole in the wall, that's not their responsibility, that's your responsibility. And then you have to go to Airbnb to see if they'll, reimburse. So
Gotcha.
at the end of the day, your contract is still with your landlord, and you have to take care of their property and return their property back to them in the way that they gave it to you. So
I got a question with this license. If this is my apartment or my home and I'm just renting a room,
Mhm.
I still need to get this license. I stay there.
yes,
Really? I can't just have it like a roommate. No. Oh,
if you're listing it on Airbnb or any other type of app,
I thought you
it's
said they
required.
only- I thought you said they only got one listing and they don't have to do that.
You still have to have the registration for 175 for each listing. Whether you stay there or not, it's 175.
No,
That's
so I
when
thought
you do
said
a
if you only had
multiple-
one, you didn't have to do it.
No, you have to have it regardless, the 175. But if you have two listings, you have to pay $175 for that next listing. And then you also have to go and get a license, the shared housing unit operator's license, to have multiple units.
Okay,
So
so
like
there's a
when-
registration fee
Yes,
and then there's a license fee.
correct.
And
So if you
whatever,
only have one listing, say you're listing your own personal house, you don't have to deal with a landlord or anyone else,
Mhm.
you pay that $175 license fee. But if I decide to go and open up a second location, now I have to get a shared housing unit operator's license. And they won't even let me put in for that license until I have
Pay
the
that
shared,
175.
no, until you get the shared owner's operating license. So you got to get the $250 fee with the city of Chicago to get the shared operator's license. And then you'll be able to go in there and get the second unit listed.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna come on here and holler at you, because look now, until and you, if I was to hire you to do this project for me, you will just kind of tell me what I need to do, or are you, how do you manage with
It really depends on what type of agreement that we come up. Everything is negotiable. Because I already have a shared housing unit license, I could just sign up and put the listing in my name. But of course, you have to have contracts and agreements.
and
for
a
that.
benefit for me using you, because you already super host. So
Exactly.
your listings are going to be up top. If I have a rental and I'm not but I can become a host under your super host, right? Isn't that
Right.
how?
I could do, yes. So like, for instance, with Justeon, he is a co-host. He's actually listed in the app. Every message that I get, he also gets. So you can actually see what I'm doing, how I'm interacting with your guests, what type of feedback they're giving me. And then I'm still responsible for managing it. So you still have oversight on what I'm doing. And then we just set it up so your portion of money goes to you and my portion goes to me.
Oh, and that's something like if you're in real estate, like a property management fee.
Yeah.
A percentage of whatever you collect and things like that.
I would say the reasoning I would give anybody listening to work with my mother and my partner is you can, of course, go do all of this on your own. Like I feel like we gave a lot of information and help that you can use, and you could go try and do it yourself and figure it out by having somebody that's been where you've been, encounter problems that you're going to encounter, and let you know ahead of time, like, hey, this is coming up, you might need to take care of this, or oh, you could have done this better with this guest, or all of that. It's just like I would call it coaching, mentor, like kind of like a mentor thing. So I would say being able to reach out and being able to invest with somebody that's been there will be a big help. That's how I would say it.
Yeah, I totally agree, because running off the stuff that you kind of know by heart and stuff that I wouldn't even think about, it will be something that I want to do for the extra money. But for me, doing it by myself, it'll take more time for me to get started, because I have to learn and go research and do all this stuff. Whereas if I know I just want to do, it's a one-stop shop. You can find me the place to rent.
Absolutely.
We draw up a contract and you get this certain percentage. Now, and this is just a question that for people who may start calling you today, is there something, if I decide I want to work with you now, what monies do I need to have kind of budgeted? I know we talked about furniture to furnish your Airbnb and stuff, but if we're in a partnership, what does that look like? Not partnership, project management, or is it a partnership? What is it?
No, I would call it a partnership.
Gotcha.
Because
I
all
think
of the things that you have for setting up your listing will be your responsibility. If you wanted to hire me to go out and stage your property, get your curtains, your blinds, your rugs, furnish your location, that's something I can do. And that's why I say it's really hard to say a specific number that would be your budget, because there might be something you want to do, like, oh no, I like to decorate, I want to do this part myself. So it's just it just depends on however we set that project up.
Okay. All right, but getting started, you give me a packet of some sorts, and you say, this is what we're starting.
This is all I have. I want to get started. What do you think we can do with this? And we can go.
Gotcha. So just let you know what I got, my budget is, and you drawing up the project
Exactly.
based on those constraints or those things. All right, makes sense, makes sense. Anything else you want to say, Justeon?
Mm.
No? Okay. And just wrapping up, thank you so much for all the information. You guys gave so much information, a lot of thoughtful answers. Really appreciate it. If I'm ready to get started with you now, how do I get in contact with you guys, or who am I contacting?
You can reach me on my website, IamARealestateLLC.com. There will be a link for the different services I offer. Like I said, I am the managing real estate broker. I do project management, property management, traditional leasing and selling of property, and also project management, traditional leases as far as like Section 8 tenants, or fair market value searches as well. So,
You said Section 8. That made me think about something. And let me know if this is off the base, but if I have Section 8, can I be an Airbnb?
I will say, I think that the answer would be no, because all income that you receive, you have to report, and then now your rental amount is
It's gonna increase. Duh, that's the point of Section 8. You got a little subsidy. You got to keep your money at a certain. It's
Right.
because you got a certain amount of income coming in. You
Right.
Airbnb, you got more money. You don't need it's Section 8 no more.
Right.
You can pay your rent. Okay, all right. But that just made me think of that for somebody. I know they got an extra room, got Section 8. But okay. Anyway, all right. And you said your website, IamARealestateLLC.com.
Yes.
Okay. And you said on there, it'll just kind of show you what your services and stuff is as well. Any social media?
Yes,
channels?
I'm also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all other platforms.
Cool. As I Am a Real Estate LLC?
Yes.
On those platforms as well? Cool. Justeon, any way you want us to catch up with you, or we got to go through your partner?
I would advise everything that she spoke about to contact her. But if anybody is a young listener or somebody that just needs, I don't even say just needs someone to talk to, but if they want to, communicate about this stuff, or they just want to hear more about it, they can reach me on. You can reach me at my phone number, 773-992-8339. And then they can also email me at justeonkimmons@gmail.com. JUSTEON Kimmons KIMMONS @gmail.com. So anybody anybody my age that heard about the things I was talking about and they want to reach out to me, can reach out to me to talk about it.
What's up? Well, again, thank you guys so much for sharing so much information. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you guys stuck with us to the end and the information you received was very valuable. Check us out at our next podcast. Thanks for tuning in to the DIY Entrepreneurs. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.